Yo, what's poppin'? My name is Scubar, and welcome to my overview video of the Sabang Sharpedoes in the Pokemon VGC Regulation D Champion Draft League. Just a server I found on Discord, and it's a great group of guys. In this video, I'm gonna go into my team, why I picked my picks, their strengths, their weaknesses, what I was trying to build for with the team, and we'll take a look at our first week's schedule. And there's some other teams that I think are going to be threats in this draft league. Um, if you're wondering who I am, I'm Scubar. Yes, I've been playing Pokemon VGC since probably the X and Y era. That sounds about right. Been playing at least just competitively. Yeah, I've been playing Pokemon, ever since first game of Sapphire, the Diamond and Pearl era. So pretty well-rounded in the universe, and I play VGC on and off, but I really am going to start picking it back up with this Champion Draft League here. So, I don't have any too crazy accomplishments in the series, but I guess my most recent one would have been back in Regulation A, the first one of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, just this X9 pop-up league hosted by Joe UX9. Got second place. I think I choked the finals a little bit, but yeah, I got second place with this Hariyama Farigiraf Terra Electric Frostmoth team. Pretty cool, pretty fun. Actually, you'll see the Farigiraf and Hariyama core is kind of what I wanted to go for in this league, and I knew it would at least be a strong core that I could then pick up other strong Mons with. So this was my basis for actually this team, and I guess we'll move right along into uh, how this worked and everything. So each team, each team was assigned uh, 11 Mons with a total of 110 points. And so as you can see here, like some of the Mons, really good Mons, Amoonguss, Fluttermane, uh, both of the Urshifus, excuse me, worth 18 points, and as you just move down the list, you get some mods and lower points and everything. You kind of actually see who already picked what. But yeah, when I first looked at this list and before the draft started, the first thing that popped to my eyes was Heatran here at 14 points. Yeah, I was like, because when you look at Picolytics, I was like, I'm just getting back into VGC for the first time and everything. This is a little outdated, or excuse me, not outdated, but updated from when I did this draft. But at the time, Heatran was number 6 in usage list. Now he's still 2, 4, 6, 8. He's still in the top 10. He's holding down the top 10 in usage list. So compared and looking at the price of some of these other mons here, I was just like, all right. I was like, Heatran for 14 points. I was like, I think that is a snag. That was like a first round draft pick and everything. So that was just kind of looking over this list so far, and I knew I could figure out my points as I go along. So finally revealing the team, first leading in, like I said, is Heatran for 14 points. I was placed, I think, ninth in the draft and everything, so I'm like right in the middle. Got a little bit on each side of me, so I'll go through later in the draft what other mons were taken and everything and stuff. But I knew, yeah, first turn I looked at this list here when I saw how much like expensive, especially like these 18 mons were. I was just like, I saw Heatran at 14, and I was like, that is a steal. I was like, I think I am absolutely picking that up first round. So I grabbed Heatran first round. Fire Steel type. Nice, awesome start. Then, like I said, I knew going into this, I wanted the Hariyama Farigiraf core. So looking here, you can start to see actually with 16 players in the league, the it actually started to get picked up pretty quick. And so when I saw Farigiraf was at 14 as well, I knew if I wanted it, I would have to pull the priority on it, pull the plug on it. And I knew, and there's like the 16s, like the 18s were all going in the first round, but the 16s and the 17s were still being left open. So I was like, okay. I was like, I think I can still work with some power picks from here, and I did. I'm still really proud of my power picks coming out of this. So I started off with Heatran Furgraph. I was like, solid. Two special attackers. I was like, Trick Room. Heatran's gonna be super useful and everything. Coming into the is a snake round, so coming into the next round now, I had first pick and or not first pick, excuse me, but I was like, okay, I was thinking I could grab Hariyama on 4 because there's still a good amount of the 15 to like higher ranges here. With Hariyama only at 11 points, I was like, I think I can grab Hariyama on 4. Uh, Little spoiler, just ahead, you can see I did not end up grabbing Hariyama. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was looking here, and I was just like, alright, Amoonguss is already gone. And it's like, if I want to go Trick Room, I saw that Brute Bonnet was open. And I was like, that can work, because I need a threat in Trick Room and everything. And I was just like, Spore, Rage Powder, offensive stats. So it was like super good. And I don't think anybody else was eyeing it at the time. So I grabbed Brute Bonnet at 3, which I thought is going to be really strong. Uh, Moving along and everything. So now I thought I was going to get Hariyama. And I was like, all right, I got Hariyama in. I'm like, I'm pretty solid. I'm like, I don't think anybody's eyeing it. uh, as you can see here in just the one of the other drafts, there's this other guy, the MIU. He's building a Trick Room team as well. So his first 3 he grabbed were Cresselia, Ursaluna, and Regidrago. And he had picked before me, and 3 picks before me, he grabs the Hariyama for me. So I'm like, mother trucker. And I was just like, ooh, I was upset about that. And I was like, I wanted Hariyama. 3 picks before me. And Iron Hands was already way gone out of this. Yeah, Iron Hands was gone in like the first or second round. So I was like, all right, we're gonna have to change plans for a little bit. But I think I made it work. Looking along, so I was like, so I need a new 4 pick now. And I was like, I have the fire water grass core in heat, or I was like, or fire and grass in Heatran and Groupon. So I was like, all right, I need the water. I need the water here. And at the time, Basque Legion Mail was still open. And now I've watched a little bit of YouTube and everything. And Jamie Boyd, a regional champion over in Europe, his argument is Basque Legion Mail is the best Pokemon in the format. And I can see why. I can see his argument. And so I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take his word for it. I saw Basque Legion Mail was still open. And I grabbed Basque Legion Mail on 4. Because between Swift Swim, adaptability, like good, relatively good bulk and everything, speed and attack. I was like, and then last respects, I knew I could make this work. So I grabbed Heatran on 4, and I was like, all right, I think I'm at the time. I was like, I think I'm looking pretty solid. I had spent a good amount of points and everything. You can see because Brute Bonnet, Mask Legion, Male, and then my next pickup, I'll talk about in a second, were all pretty expensive. But I'm like, listen, I'm like, I'm the first 4. I'm like, I already got the fire. I'm like, fire, water, grass typing. Oh. That's unfortunate. That just updated right now because, spoilers, I've already had game 1. And, yeah, so we'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Well, spoilers there. So, again, alright, so it's my turn. So I'm coming in 5. And I'm looking around, and I'm looking at the fairy types that are gone. Because at the time, let's see, fairy types. What was there? It was only Enamorous Therian. Let's see. So my next eye, I think I was picking up is Sylveon, but Sylveon got sniped. And I already had Basque Legion, so I didn't want a Zoomerl. But then I was looking around at fairy types here, and I was like, because I saw that, this Trick Room team picked up Regidrago, so I was like, so I need a fairy type. And I'm looking around, and at the time, Screamtail was already gone. And are any other fairy types at least in the top here? No. So you can see, I was like, hold on. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, there's not. I was like, what's the next best fairy type getting down here? Sylveon, Azumarill. Yeah, like you see when you start like Tinkaton, yeah, and that's like, but I already had Heatran, so I knew I didn't want Tinkaton. Would have been a good pickup. I think it would have gotten sniped from me from when I would have wanted it. But yeah, I was just like, hold on. I was like, there's not a. I was like, I guess I could Gardevoir, but I was like, there's not a decent amount of fairy types. And so I saw Enamorus and Enamorus Theron, and now I played Legends of Arceus and everything, or Arceus, excuse me. So I caught Enamorus in the game, and I played through the story, but I've never used it in VGC. This would be my first time it's in VGC. So I looked up the two, and I saw that Enamorus Theron here was the better of the Trick Room on. So I was like, because I got Fergraph, so my speed controls Trick Room. I'm not going Tailwind. Though Enamorus learns Tailwind, so that's potential for team building. And again, when I saw this team, he picked up the Hariyama. Then I was like, I was eyeing him, and I'm like, he's now a threat. And I was looking at his team. I was like, if he gets the Enamorus Theory, and I'm like, that team is a threat. So I picked up a Therian for 16 points and everything, because like I said, strong fairy typings. I can do flying, terra flying as well. It gets Tailwind, it gets Taunt, and it's like, look at this 135 special attack, great bulk. So I'm like, all right. I was like, you just throw a little HP in. It's Tricker Mon. So I was like, I'm cooking here. I'm cooking. Because I knew who I wanted to replace as my fighting type fake out Mon, and you'll start to see coming, or where am I going here? Coming up my next list. Oh, just move down a little bit here. Medicham already isn't all the way till 8, because people kind of sleep on Medicham with pure power, fake out, like close combat and everything. So do I lose the bulk from Hariyama? Yes. Do I lose knockoff and wide guard as well? Yes, as well. Do I lose Guts, Flame Warp just being a threat in Trick Room? Because Hariyama and Frigoraph got that synergy where Hariyama wants Trick Room up 99% of the time. So just turn one fake out Trick Room is just about like unstoppable unless you have like unless I don't fake out the taunt mon and it's not priority taunt. Yeah. Like Trick Room's getting up with Frigoraph, or you gotta like really one hit KO it. But Frigoraph's got that bulk. So after Hariyama's gone, I knew I was like, who's next on the bucket list? And it was actually debating between Berserker, who's also an 8-pointer, and Medicham. But I already had the Steel type in Heatran, and I needed the Fighting type coverage. So I went with Medicham on 5. And I was like, alright. And I was like, 6. Yeah, no, 5. Excuse me, 6. Excuse me, yeah, on the wraparound. So I was like, all right. And at this time, like, so everyone's got their team of 6. I was like, all right, I'm looking pretty solid. I'm looking pretty good. I got fake out coverage. I got a good fire, water, grass core. I got speed control. Starting to build a steel fairy dragon core, and I knew at this time which dragon I wanted. So I was like, all right, what else am I missing from a standard VGC team? And I was like, intimidate. Hello, Quillfish Isui, because at this time as well, I believe also Glamora, where is Glamora, had also gotten picked up. Yes, Glamora got picked up here by the same team as actually no, a different team, but the Mirage Islanders. But yeah, so Glamora's in the team because so Glamora's in the draft. I was like, all right, so I need a poison type for, I needed a grounded poison type for Toxic Spikes, and I was just looking at some of the other intimidators here, and you can see Staraptor actually didn't get picked up. Staraptor I was considering, but um, yeah, I was just like Staraptor's just 12 points versus these 8 points here. I was like, that's just a little bit too expensive for what I could be working with. What other intimidators are there? Just at least moving down. I slept on Luxray a little bit. Luxray got picked up later in the draft, and I think I could have grabbed Luxray here, which might have been a little bit of a better pick, but I went with the Quillfish Hisui because I wanted the Intimidate. It was taking away a Dark type from my 2 Psychic types that are in the draft, that are in my draft, and I got Intimidate. And I was like, I can throw in a Violate on it, I can throw a Focus Sash on it, and we'll be good to go when I need it. So I picked up the Suicune fish. And I was looking around and I was like, I need I was like looking around, like, what other coverage do I need? I was like, I need electric. Because there was another team, the Paraflinch Paladins, building rain. So I was like, alright, I was like, I need an electric type. Help deal with that team. And so I was like, I've had a lot of experience with Rotom. I've used Rotom Heat, Rotom Wash, even Rotom Mow to great success on the ladders. I brought Rotom Heat to regionals years ago. I'm sure I was using Rotom Wash. And but looking at the tier list here, you, ooh, I hope I didn't just do that. But that's all right. Yeah, get that out of here. Cool. So Rotom Wash was also already picked up at the time because Rotom, or is he a 15 pointer? Yeah, I think he's a 15 pointer. Got picked up by the New York Nightmare. Rotom Heat, where's Rotom Heat? Rotom Heat's expensive, right? Rotom Heat, yeah, Rotom Heat's a 14 pointer. I couldn't, I'm starting to run low at points at this time, and I need to fill a team of 11. So I was like, don't think I can pick up Rotom Heat. I already had my grass type and fruit on it, so I was like, I don't really think, and again, just a little bit too many points. I was like, I don't think I want the Rotom. So I'm just moving down, but I was like, Rotom Frost. I was like, does the job, and just Terra Electric, and I'll be good to go. And then I was like, and Blizzard hits the ground types. Well, it's not too reliable. There was actually there was a snow team building as well, who's got a ground type. So I was like, all right, and a grass type as well. So I was like, all right. I was like, I can work with this. So I went with Rotom Frost. Because you just Terra type into electric, and then you got levitate. You're good to go. This thing's got great. You can put bulk, special attack. Like you can work in and out of trick room depending on speed tiers and everything. So I was like, I'm going, and I've got great Will-O-Wisp, Trick. And I had plenty of experience with Rotom in the fast. So I was like, I'm gonna go Rotom Frost. Just starting to build out the team now and everything, and I was like, all right. I was like, what's the next coverage I need? And I was like, Regieleki was already picked up in the draft. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna need a ground type. Like just how I had a fairy type for the Regidrago, I was like, I need a ground type now. And I again eyeing so who my last I knew who my second to last pick is the dragon type was gonna be. And then so I was looking around and obviously Iron Treads and Great Tusk were both gone. But Donphan, good old classic Donphan, was still up. And I'm like, I shard for priority, because that's another thing too. With Fergraph blocking priority, I knew I wanted to build priority with this team in Trick Room as well. So I was like, it's got Ice Shard, it's got knockoff. I was like, I can Earthquake next to it with Rotom. And I was just like, yeah. So I went, and it's got Sturdy, so it's got a natural built in Focus Sash. Things got great bulk. So I went with Donphan. And so teams are starting the draft's starting to go pretty quick. Teams are starting to get pretty rounded out. And again, so I was looking to complete my Fairy Steel Dragon Core, and I knew when I saw how low points I saw he was only a 2 pointer. I knew he was absolutely going to be one of my pickups, and that is Fracture, which is again just a budget Haxorus, but you need to put respect on it because 67 speed can work in and out of Trick Room. You can set up with Dragon Dance. Got alright bulk. If I do need the bulk, I can throw in a Violate on it. But really, 117 attack, I just want this thing to hit like a truck. I'm just this if you don't have like good dragon coverage, if you don't have any fairies or good steel types, like I might just bring Fracture and just set up and sweep with you kind of deal. So I was like 117 attack. I'm like that's nothing to sleep on. I was like for a 2 pointer, looking at some of the other ones here, I was like, I mean of course you got all the other pseudo legend mine as well as like Magnemite. I considered Pupitar until I saw that Donphan was still up. But I was just like, I'm like, even Haunter was like a 3 pointer. So I was like, so for Fracture being a 2 pointer, I knew who this is what I wanted to complete my dragon type course. I was like, when you want a dragon, so I was like, you just want them to hit hard. I was like, you just want them to hit hard and hit like a truck. And Fracture, I think Fracture's gonna be able to do it. So finally, I just needed a 1 pointer and everything, and I was looking, and I actually didn't see this on the list, but I was thinking about another electric type immunity, and I saw Palmont. I was like, oh, I was like, if I had enough points for Palmont, That would be awesome. But at the point of the draft, I only had like everyone's only got a few points left. I only got 1 point left, so I knew I was taking a 1 pointer. And at this point, this is like most everyone's bench rider. Like I can't imagine a lot of people are going to bring their 1 pointers. But it's like I want a 1 pointer who's got potential. And there's a rules in the draft where if a Pokemon's not listed, it'll be 1 point. And I'm looking here, and I see Palmont at where's Palmont? I thought Palmont was a little expensive. Yeah, Palmont's here. Palmont didn't get picked up. A 13 pointer. And I'm looking at this one list, and I'm like, I don't see the pre-evolution Palmo. So I messaged the mods and everything, because I was like, this is Fake Out, this is Volt Absorb, this is Mach Punch. It's still got a bunch of other great support moves in Encore, uh, Helping Hand, Nuzzle, for speed control and everything. So it doesn't have Revival Blessing, which is not the end of the world, because that's not the reason I necessarily picked this up. Electric Terrain for when I go against the Rillaboom teams, but and Mach Punch, Helping Hand, and everything. So you can throw a Focus Sash, can throw a Violate on it, Volt Absorb, Iron Fist, and everything start to hit a little bit. I mean, 75 is all right and everything. It'll do some damage and put some super effective hits. 85, so if I want to bring it like a little bit fast mode with my Tailwind, that works as well. And with that concludes the team. I have my 11 Mons. I'm pretty proud. I think it's a pretty solid, respectable Mons. I think it's a couple other better ones in the draft. And yeah, Basket Legion is going to be a late game sweeper. Got some Mons, Heat Ran that can work in Trick Room with Brute Bonnet and then Amorous Therian. Even Quillfish, Donphan, Fracture, Electric Coverage, and Rotom. We got Intimidate, got Fake Out, double Fake Out between Medicham and Palmont. Plenty of priority and stopping priority with Paragraph, Sucker Punch here, Aqua Jet, yeah, like a Fake Out, Ice Shard, so Mach Punch on Palmo. And yeah, so and I thought this team held up pretty well against some of the other drafts. I'll start to go into them now. It's a league of 16 teams. Here you can see everyone's drafts, and we can go. This is in draft order, so just start a little bit. Yeah, the Mirage Islanders. You can see they 2-3 the Dondozo Tatsugiri after a Thundurus and a Clamora with the Flamigo as well. So I think that needs to be respected. The Riolu also needs to be respected. That was a great value pickup for 3. I didn't need this pick, but a little side tangent. But I thought the most valuable pick in the draft, which didn't get picked up, and I can see it being picked up as a free agent later, is Fungus here for 6 points. I was like, when a Moongus is 18 points, the most expensive Pokemon in the game, I was like, the budget version of it for a third of the price, and you just slapping a Violate on it. I was shocked when nobody considered Fungus. If I knew Fungus was gonna go like this low, I might have. I probably would have dropped group on it and picked up something. I don't know. Maybe picked up Hariyama. Who knows? But I really thought Fungus was gonna go. I thought people would have recognized. I thought this was a huge value in the draft, and I'm a little shocked. Nobody grabbed it. But yeah, so this team's going to be a respectable threat. The Espeon needs to be respected. Trick Room with Slowking. I think Pikachu and Dragonair are going to be bench riders. But yeah, Riolu needs to be respected. Flamigo, Glamora, and Tisdanzo's a Tatsugiri, of course, with the Thundurus. First pick of the draft, Arden, you got Fluttermane. This is an expensive duo. This is an expensive trio, excuse me, right here. All three 18 pointers. I hope the Amoonguss is worth it for you. I could see you definitely doing something like switching out Amoonguss for Fungus. But you've got a nice snow team here when you were returning on the snake draft by picking up the Abomasnow Articuno with your Shifu single strike. That's a threat. I'm excited for your Glalie. I was eyeing the Crocodile, but you got the Crocodile before me. Meditite in honor of Medicham, I think that's respect. And yeah, no, I think Belly Bowl for Trick Room coverage. I think this is a solid team as well and everything. The Oklahoma City Brandons. Yeah, again, solid, respectable teams. Sneasler getting dropped all the way to 14, I think, is completely disrespectful. Sneasler absolutely should have gone earlier, and so I think that was a great pickup by him, seeing that Sneasler was still open, you still had enough points, so you just rounded out your team and you can grab Sneasler then. So Double Dragon. So definitely gonna bring in Namers to this. I think this is a respectable team. I like the Palisand pickup. I respect it. Toxapex is a little interesting. But I can really see at least these first four coming to most matches, throwing Sneasler in as well. This is he had one of the other ends of the draft, so he got all of his pickups together. So started off with Palafin Goldango, two solid strong picks. Arcanine Murkrow, yeah, I like the Murkrow pickup after you see the Dondozo Tatsugiri. That's a free win. Raichu, yeah, solid. Lucian, and then I was kind of really shocked when Tinglu was the last 18 Mon to go, and I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I was like, Tinglu's expensive for eight. I was like, is 18, but hey, you had the points and you went for it, and you just decided to pick up four bench riders. I mean, maybe Zorua comes, but yeah, no. So I think at least you've got some really good mods. You got strong mods. You got a lot of solid potential. You got Fire, Water, Grass, Fake Out. Godango's great. Murkrow's gonna be great for Prankster Tailwind. So I think that needs Prankster Rain with the Palafin. So I think that no, that team needs to be respected, even though it's got four bench riders. Moving on, the Amsterdam Annihilate. Of course, their first pickup had to be the Annihilate. Nice. Mousehold got drafted earlier in the draft, but then got traded because we had 24 hours after draft was over to make any trades. So the person actually dropped the Mousehold, and I was like, oh, that's actually very interesting. So the Gothorita on 7, I was kind of a little shocked about, but you must have just really I think you were eyeing the Furgraph, and when I sniped the Furgraph on you, you panicked, and you so the Screamtail's fine. The Screamtail's gonna be good, and the Gothorita needs to be respectable, especially with Gothitail still open. So I like the Trick Room team you're building here. I think it's solid. Yeah, you got the Luxray Intimidate for sport. I was eyeing that Altaria. And I think this team needs to be respected though, absolutely, with the Hisuian Samurai and the Moltres Galar. Like I don't know if I bring Furgraph versus this team, the Double Dark, uh, but in the Psychics. But yeah, moving along to the Chilling Chimchars. Respectable, solid. You got the Tinkaton. I like the Jolteon. I like the Samurai. You get Fire, Water, Grass. Starting off with Landorus Theory, you can really never go wrong with that in a draft. The Baxcalibur is also, I think, another great value pickup, and that's only 15 points. Armorogue, and you didn't want the Indeedee because you didn't want the Indeedee because you they put the dash round on 4, which was only 7 points. So I thought that was a little bit of a shocker, especially to follow it up with Tinkaton, a double fairy, when Indeedee was still open at the time. I believe Indeedee was still open at the time, right? Yeah. Oh no, Indeedee got picked on 3, so yeah, never mind. Indeedee wasn't open on 3, so like okay, never mind. I take that back. I stand that back. Then I guess yeah, because you can do the lava plume strategy there. So I like the dash round for 7. It's a good pickup. Okay, and the Nassel stack. I think that's absolutely a great pick. And a Violate Garganical. That's great pickup. Absolutely. That's and they need to be actually respecting that. You grab the Regieleki Dragonite. Fine. I'm just yeah, interesting because it's first 3. I think like frail, not too frail the Dragonite, but like just strong offensive attackers. Then to follow it up with Glade Glastrier, I was just like, all right, a little bit slower. Glade does get Trick Room. I think you got solid type coverage and everything. I'm curious. I'd love to see how you use the Zangoose and the Vespa Queen. Lovedis and Ghastly are most likely bench riders, but yeah, and a Bisharp, I mean, still arguably 13 points, just as good as King Gambit does everything just without Kowtow Cleave, but you can even slap in a Violate on it. So no, I like the Bisharp priority from the LA Latios. You are just the capital city Crowbacks just absolutely milking the 15ers in your first 4, but I think it's a solid great strategy of Rillaboom, Spectre, Gyarados, Iron Moth. I think you hit a Fire Water Grand score. That's solid. I was actually eyeing the Zapdos. I think actually I was gonna take Zapdos right here on my 5th pick, but you sniped it away before me, and I was like, respect. So I went with the Enamorous because I recognize the fairies. And I think you recognize the fairies too a little bit when you grab the Jigglypuff and the Morgrem. I love actually Morgrem. That's a great pickup there. budget Grim Snarl. You just slap in a Violate on it, and then Iron Treads, solid type coverage, you ground steel. Uh, yes, I mean Spiritomb I'll absolutely need to be prepared for. Jigglypuff, Sunflora, and Growlithe Hisui might be bench riders. But I think no, you don't. It doesn't matter when you've got at least that first solid five core of Zapdos, Iron Moth, Gyarados, Spectre, Rillaboom. I think that's gonna need. I think that might be a sleeper in the league. Here I am with the Sabang Sharpedoes. Don't ignore this. This is the math. If you do the math, it adds up to 110 points. I don't have an extra point remaining, but no, I've got my team's areas. Like I said, I'm pretty proud. I hit the Fire, Water, Grass, Cold Curly. I reckon I can threaten Trick Room with Furgraf, Rubonnet. I sniped the Medicham at 6. Moving along to our first week opponents, the Paraflinch Paladins. I think I'm really scared of this team, actually. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to take a lot of time to prep for this, but they picked the first. This was going to be my first pick, actually, if I don't think. Actually, let me pick the draft order. No, I think actually, yeah, I could have. No, you were fourth pick in the back. Okay, yeah. Actually, I was. I know I love Urshifu Rabbit Strike, and this probably actually could have been a contender for my first pick too. But you got it before me, so I went with the Heatran. But Urshifu Rabbit Strike followed by King Gambit, and you got the Pelipper. So this is a nasty rain team. I love the Pelipper Dreadnought. I was eyeing Clodsire, but you sniped a Clodsire the same round as I grabbed Medicham, and the Mimikyu is a huge threat. Again, I was eyeing the Berserker, and I think absolutely just the Salandit might be a bench rider, but the Dragalge and even the Cacturn, I can even see the Cacturn. You know, it's a rain team, it's dark grass type. That's because that's the other thing. When I picked up Basque Legion, I was like, all right, what are the teams? Or like, what stops Basque Legion? I was like, Grass Dark. So that's and I got the Brute Bonnet, so that's one threat out of the way for Basque Legion to sweep. But yeah, you have the cat. I have the Cacturn, so I need to respect that. The Montana Meganium, 1-2 Iron Hands Talonflame. I think it's respectable. It's solid. You can't really go wrong from there. To follow it up with Hydreigon Gothitelle, solid. I mean, I was eyeing the Masquerain for an Intimidate, but you grabbed that before me. Yeah, let's see Wigglytuff for fairy coverage, and yeah, no, I like the Krugerrock. It's a budget crocodile, does all the same job. No, I think it's a solid team. Probably one of the scariest teams in the draft. IMO, MIU. What does MIU stand for? That's just okay. That's just their team name is MIU. But yeah, they 1-2'd Ursaluna Cresselia. Expensive, but argue a great 1-2. Probably, in my opinion, the best 1-2 in the draft here. Maybe maybe besides Chien Pao Dragapult, they 1-2 that. But yeah, probably in my opinion, maybe Flutter Mane and Moongus. That might be a solid 1-2 as well. But I think yeah, arguably the best 1-2 in the draft. You got Ursaluna Cresselia, solid. Follow up with the Regigigas. I like to see the priority. This thing's gonna hit like a truck. You got my Hariyama for me, and it's. I mean, I'm upset. I wanted my Hariyama, but that's fine. Do my Hariyama well. And I think you were also like again, you were probably also annoying the Namorous Therian because if you got the Namorous Therian just out of Steel type and you were solid, but then once I grabbed the Namorous Therian, yeah, you had to split it up two ways. So, but I like how you recovered with the Articuno Galar and the Hatterene. Does the job, yeah, fits the Trick Room team well. Does basically a Namorous in 2 mons. It just again, water types are starting to go here because I think a Azumarill was also gotten at this time. So I like the Clodsire pickup with Camerupt as well as Skunk Drink. I'm curious. I want to see how you use Mischievous. I know it's got potential, and even the Tinkatink has a little potential. The whole Tinkaton line got drafted, and actually, it's funny. You can see Axew got drafted to the Los Angeles Gravelers, and I picked up Fracture, but Haxorus didn't get drafted. Rip. Moving along, the Cinnabar Gators. I mean, it's I like the team. Yeah, you know, Roaring Moon, you 1-2 Roaring Moon Total. You got Sun, you got Weather Control. To follow it up by Indeedee, I think is great as well. Charizard's gonna work great in the Sun. You have Slowbro for Water type and Trick Room coverage. Pulled the priority on the Ditto, which I mean, good for you if you do it. Yeah, and Iron Valley, and I love these three here. I like solid Electric type. Thunderous Therian, Iron Valiant is going to work well in Psychic Terrain because you great fighting coverage and the Venonat. Yeah, the Venonat Jamie also loves and everything. It's basically a budget it's like if Fungus is a budget Amoongus. Venonat is a bunch of fungus, so I love that. Sliggoo might be a little bit of a bench rider, but that's okay. The LA Crams, you just, yeah, no, I mean, solid, respectable. I can kind of see what you're going with here. You're just picking from what's still good and still available. So to open up with Grimmsnarl, I love it. Landorus, I think, needs to be respected, as well as the Gudra Hisui. And I was eyeing, and yeah, and Azumarill I was eyeing, but if I didn't grab the Askew Legion on 4, I think Azumarill is who I would have wanted, so I love that. He took the Wo-Chien. The Hippopotas needs to be respected, Sand Control as well. Squawkably is intimidating. Sneasel Hisui is just a budget Sneasler, which, oh yeah, again, Sneasel Hisui got picked up before Sneasler. Like, Sneasler making it all that way, I'm just impressed, so. I think the LA Crams need to be respected. New York Nightmare, you won to Chianpo Dragapult. I mean, that's great. Again, arguably the best 1-2 in the draft. To follow it up then with Arcanine, Hisui, and Rotom, starting to build that Fire, Water, Grass core, which I think it looks like you build out the Grass core on your last pick and everything. The Scizor priority gives a solid Steel type, because yes, Steel types are starting to go then. And actually, I think Bug's actually going to be great versus some of these teams. So I love the Scizor pickup, especially, and it works with the Chi and Pow as well. Bruxis just stop priority, and again now, yeah, you see, I got the Frigoraph, but you also wanted to stop priority, so I love it. You get a fairy type coverage as well. You picked up the Enamorus, I love it. Again, Tinkatuff, let's see how it works. Galar, Snowball, Howrim, and Florigito. I mean, yeah, I think you got the Fire, Water, Grass core. Dragon Steel Fairy, yeah, like so it's not in Chien-Pao. I mean, yeah, just a 1-2 Chien-Pao Dragapult. I was like, I really looked at it. I was like, guys, how do we let him do this? I was like, that's bad. I was like, how did we let the New York Nightmare 1-2 Chien-Pao Dragapult? Because I think I could have grabbed. I prioritized the Heatran over the Chien-Pao. He drafted after me, and looking back in hindsight, I was like, it was an expensive pick, but Chien-Pao is a very good Pokemon. So. Finally, the Lavender Town Laughs, I think, is my week 2 opponent as well. Opened up Tornadus, one of the first picks. Tornadus, Great Tusk. I love Great Tusk. Great monster. You throw that thing into the tail room. Yeah, that's absolutely going to be a threat. To follow it up, Volcarona, Sylveon. You play competitive Pokemon. Yeah, you know the potential of these Pokemon. Volcarona with the Rage Powder. And Sylveon's just, again, like, we recognize, we're like, fairy types are not too common. Because, let's see. What, what's your no fairy type? Fluttermane, no fairy type. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of teams like they have steel, but but they may not have, but fairies for these dragon types. Like I'm just eyeing that Regidrago. Let's see here. No fairy type. 2 fairy types. Okay, yeah, you're good. No fairy type. Fairy. Okay, yeah, you got the Dashbone and the Tinkaton. But that's the thing. I was like the Screamtail, and especially then when I picked up the Enamorus, I was like, or Azumarill got priority. I was like, let's see, no fairy type. Uh, Yeah, you got the Wigglytuff. That's good. Hatterene. That's good. No fair, no fairy type. Yeah, like these NC Zoomer priority. I love to see it. And then there's the other Enamor. So yeah, I love the Sylveon priority. I think that was a great pick, recognizing the fairy type scarcity. But yeah, and the find of 1-2 was Simeon Barraskewda. You see the rain team take a Barraskewda. Got the Garganical. I was wondering who was gonna take that Garganical. I'm really eyeing it. Because again, the whole Grookey line got drafted as well. Cause where's Thwacky? Someone, yeah, the Amsterdam Annihilate got Thwacky. So the whole Grookey line, the whole Tinkatuff line got drafted. And you say Shrudo beats Dondozo, so I want to see it. I want to see how that works. But yeah, and the Wind Rider, like the Wind Rider, Brambleghast, I think is a great pickup with the Tornadus as well. Yeah, I mean you hit Fire, Water, Grass, you hit Steel, Fairy, no Dragon type, no Dragon type, but still, but in Garganicle's great insurance, yeah. I was actually kind of actually thinking about Garganicle myself, but I saw Garganicle got through some of that late in the round, but I was like, I don't think I can afford the budget points. I was like, I don't think I can just draft without ending myself up like just having to take ones. So that's the Champion Drafts League Season 1. I'm not proud of my team. I think I hit a lot of basics. I think we are. I think we're a contender for playoffs. I think we're a playoffs contenders. I'm obviously going for gold, but yeah. So our first week we are against the pair of Flinch Paladins here, and I'm gonna create a new video now going over my thoughts for the team. But yeah, if you like this video, just leave a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. Yeah, let's go Sabang Sharpedoes.